This is Justin AMZN for Thursday, March 25th, 2021. We had a bearish retest gap, and we retested really nicely into previous levels. So the kind of the upper wick here and then the upper wick here were both right into kind of this low and this low from Wednesday. And then we rolled over, and then we retested again back into this line, and we actually put in kind of this pivot up here right back into almost the close of yesterday as well. So the close here was 30.87. The high that we put in up here was 30.85, so almost made it back up there, but really came right into the low. Like it just came right back into that pivot. But even if you weren't just shorting it right at the high, right at the previous level, either of these, even getting back into the 30.77 line here was a really good place to look for some continuation lower or rollover. So the first place was here. Let me zoom in on just today now. So the first place was basically a double top here into just kind of a stair step that broke down. And when it did that, and the other thing I did want to say from up, let's see, from up here, so this high, it was the same price that we got into. I talked about this yesterday, just that it was, you could have been buying right here at 7. It put in a low of 698. You had a similar low here, 692, and yeah, 692. So it got a little bit lower. Way up here, could have been looking at the same option and looking for 4R. So I would have been buying at 7, target at 11, easily would have done that, and actually got plenty more you could have held on to. Anyway, back to just today. So this level here for the stair step, this gets a little more expensive to be buying up here. Again, it's above that $11 target that you would have already been in and out of based on yesterday's move towards the end of the day. So this, it just had too wide of candles. And then over here as well, if you were looking to buy at this level at the 30.77 price, this is just too wide. You probably could have had an entry set up around like 12, and it came all the way down to 995, or no, to, sorry, 950 here, and then 958 here. So it would have been easier, even if you had gotten into this, getting in at 7, getting out at 11. That's already getting pricey. If it's going to continue, just go out a little further. Go out to the 30.50 call and get some more reasonably priced options. And so these were, so this level here, way up here, was pulling right back into, between 4 and 3. And so you could have set it up like that, buy at 4, and you had plenty of time to do it. You could have waited for the low to come in this candle at 335, and then 335 again, and then still this is, closing below 4. So you had 15 minutes here, and then this candle was a low right at 4, and then this candle wicked down to 370. So really had, let's call it 20 minutes, even once this candle came in, 20 minutes to be buying, at the $4 price, a stop down at 3, and then looking for an 8, looking for a 4R target up to 8 would have worked here. And then you would have had to also wait for this candle to come in and then for it to reverse. And this put in a little bit of a double top here, and then a retest back up into that line. Like the high right here was almost back to our 30.77.31 price. Yeah, just barely up to it. But anyway, as long as you had waited and weren't buying blindly at 4 later in the day, this was plenty of time to cancel the trade and then to reevaluate once something comes back down. So this would have been buying at 4, stop at 3. And I just say that because the low was 302, and if you had a stop at 3, it's possible it could have been hit. It just depends on how the option moves here, how the stock's moving, what open orders there are. I've had a stop at a level, like if I had an entry here, to buy at 4 and a stop at 3, even if, I guess the price has to print at 3, and because the price didn't print at 3, it shouldn't have been stopped out. But I would still have waited for this candle to come in and maybe not blindly bought off of this line, although it's a really good line and it would have worked basically over here. So anyway, over there is where you could have been buying at 4 and put in a low of 4 here. So I mean, in order to buy at 4, hopefully would have filled, but you could have been getting in over here as well. So buying at 4, and again, holding for a move up to 8. Didn't move there for this initial move, came back down, same level. And then at this point, you could have been tightening up your stop to 350 as it bounces. Then it get it up to 4, break even, and then after this pivot comes in, or this lower wick comes in, get your stop at 5, and you just trail all the way back, all the way up until it hits the 4-hour target up to 8, and that's as it's rolling over here. So we rode down the 5 exponential a couple times today. We did have these kind of rallies on the 5 right up into the 21. This rallied up into the 21, and this obviously rallied clear through the 21. Really, this was, I mean, once we put in this low, this looks like a bigger kind of double bottom, but it didn't rally back up to this level, and it's more going sideways. Like it's clearly lower highs and kind of relative lows. Like this does dip down a little bit, and you have this hammer here. So it did put in a lower low, but that's where it bounced. And even though it was bouncing, so we haven't even talked about the call. So even though it bounced, really didn't give you some great opportunities to get in on the calls. This 3150 call was, just a really good place to be looking for for it to come into some resistance. So 3150, this high, right around $3, came right into the opening low. And this is right where we were running into this resistance here and looking for a place to get in bearish. And so this is where you have that confluence that, okay, this is a really good level for it to hold that resistance. It already broke down there. With this candle, that's where the stair step is, just above it. So it's like, okay, it shouldn't get back above 4, shouldn't get back above 350. It's holding in the low $3 range. And looking at what's happening through here, and then also what happens on a retest back up to that, all of these were signals to say, okay, it looks like it should roll over. It looks like it's holding that resistance. Let's look at puts to see, what's the move going to be. And then clearly the lines that we've got in here. So this line we broke down pretty early on with a high wave candle here, broke down with some bearishness, and then we retested, back up into this line. So these lines are actually, just showing some clear levels. And then we almost got down, you can't see it, here it is, almost got down to the 3034 line with the low on this hammer at 3037.14. And I don't know if it's going to continue to push lower. It looks like it should. This looks like it's really consolidating, that there's, a triangle going on here, where we've got, clearly lower highs and then kind of a relative low. And if we can get some sort of consolidation here like this, into Friday here and then bounce or break down, yeah, that could totally happen. I would like to see a little bit more sideways as the day opens up, and see if we can consolidate this range a little bit tighter. If we can get a little more symmetry here and we're in the middle of this range, we should have a clear breakout and roll back down like an S curve, or we should have a clear breakdown, retest, and then go lower. That's kind of what I'm anticipating, but I've been wrong plenty this week, and I don't necessarily like to say, yeah, this is what's going to happen, just because I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know these levels, and if we can get into these levels and break through them, I think they really help. The one other thing that I did notice, I was looking at just other time frames to consider with these moves, and I noticed on the 78-minute chart, there's a lot of bearish candles in a row. A lot. This is, I think I counted 11 bearish candles in a row. And so there's no squeeze or anything going on here. We have the squeeze in the daily still. The histogram here is kind of losing some of that bullish momentum. Obviously, we had some bullish candles in here, and now we've got a couple of bearish candles, so that pulled it back down. But here on the 78-minute, with so many bearish candles in a row, I went scrolling back. I couldn't find the last time we had so many bearish candles in a row on the 78-minute. I don't know that that's significant, but I would think that if we can gap up at all, that we'll trap some bears down here, especially if we can get back above the 30.77 price and get like a bullish close. On the next 78 minute, if we can get something like this, we could see a rally back up into the bottom of this line, maybe something like this candle trapping some bears, that kind of thing. If we can get some sort of a gap. There's a couple of hammers here. So this is a hammer. This is a hammer. All we've done is put in some lows, kind of below the bodies there. This low. So we actually closed about $1, less than $1 off of the low today. So if we do end up gapping up, we'll trap anybody who is going bearish here today in the last hour, last 78 minutes. So that's an hour and 18 minutes, obviously. But yeah, this is also like just looking at kind of what we've got on this time frame. We're right back. Let me just make this bigger. Again, just trying to figure out like what is this? What are we shaping up to possibly do? And we get a little bit more of like, come on, there we go. A little bit more of kind of this this channel here. And I can adjust this to be a little bit cleaner. But on a bearish move, so let me zoom out again. Actually, I'm going to turn this off. So on a bearish move, this is a really big flag. This is a little bit too big to be a flag. At this point, it's been going on for so long that it's a channel. It's really hard to call it a flag here. Let me just move this up just to grab that low. But yeah, I'm just trying to find what are the levels here that we're running into. Where can I actually connect these that would be good signals for what's happening? So if I do something like this, then you've got some clear closes right on these on the high end, and then these are clearly breaking down here. So this was a little more extreme. Then back into this, we gapped up, kind of open on that price, and then here we are with a close on this price, and then today's is closing a little bit below, which we've closed below over here and over here, and then we've rallied back up the next candle. So I think it's possible that we'll get more of a rally. It's possible. I don't know that's going to happen. This one here, we had such a strong bearish move. This had a much larger bearish histogram on the squeeze. This one was building that bearishness. This one, it just seems like it's dropping. It wasn't necessarily, it was positive, but it wasn't necessarily strong by any means all through here. But it's been losing momentum since basically this, this candle or the next one here. So I'm just extending this out to the right a little bit just to say, okay, that's something that could continue to chop around back and forth. If some strength comes in here, we'll see if this still holds. Make it a different color. Kind of keep an eye on what that's doing. There we go. So keep an eye on that and see, is that going to frame anything up for us? It's probably something I could have drawn in once these candles came in that, oh, look, we're into the same level, or even, it's just hard to get the, a real clear match on the angle. Probably could have connected this and then somewhere through here, but as long as I'm connecting some of these opens and kind of opens and open on the bearish candles, it would have cut through these. This would have been, almost predictably a really clear resistance here, running into multiple levels, not only this channel, but also previous levels that we were having some upper wicks here. And not only, like this level staying, keeping a gap over in here. But anyway, that's the 78 minute. It's not something I am looking at constantly to see what's going on, but it does kind of help paint a bit of a larger picture of, just the framework that we're fitting in within the 5. So if we come back down into the 5, we can see where this line is, down here, that we're around it. I don't know how these would interact with other levels. You can clearly see here that, it wasn't running right into something. It's much cleaner on the 78-minute, but it would still give you some better framework to say, hey, this is a good place. We're into some resistance. Maybe to protect a position, I'll get into a put and give yourself some time on that. And you wouldn't have needed the time because it did it the same week, because it was just Tuesday that we were up here. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here we are all the way back down here. And then from here up, we did that in 3 days also. So, just some interesting moves that we're having some really quick bouncing back and forth here, a lot of indecision. And so if we can get ahead of some of these, or at least have a better idea of where the trade could go and be set up for that on a bigger time frame, maybe to get into something that has a expiration a little bit further out. I'm always looking at same week. For Fridays, I'll be looking at the same day. Just something to consider with the way this is moving. So we'll see if this continues, if we get some sort of a bounce here, or what will happen next. So hope this helps. This is just AMZN. Thanks.